What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and another episode of Be with Bean. Now today, as promised, I'm going to be giving you guys a setup video, not of my setup, but of what's required to get started on YouTube and Twitch, from a baseline budget, kind of a baseline requirements, to your middle of the line and your upper end budget for, you know, highest quality and your best streaming content you can get. And before I get into that, I want to say thank you to the people who have subscribed to the channel. Every time I see subscribers join on, I know, you know, they're appreciating the content that I'm putting out, they're enjoying the content I'm putting out, and obviously it's a big help to me, it keeps me going. And the likes on the videos, you know, I've seen my first video up around 14-15 likes. It's all really good to see you guys interacting, and obviously you guys are the reason I do it. I enjoy putting the content out there, it's so fun for me, and just to see people getting entertainment and getting enjoyment from my content just makes it all worthwhile at the end. And I just want to say thank you to you guys, and we're shooting for 50. At this rate, we've gotten about 12 subscribers in the last week or so, at this rate we might actually hit it by next week, who knows. And if we ever hit that milestone, then maybe 100 subscribers will be in the cards for the future. So thanks again, and let's get into the setup video for you guys to get started with your own setup. To start off, I'm going to go with the basics, the low end budget, exactly what you need to just get your stream off the ground, get your first YouTube upload posted that viewers can watch. And to start off, I only used a laptop, the integrated microphone on my laptop, and the integrated webcam on the laptop's screen. Now those were enough to get me started, but you can't just use any laptop. Not all laptops are able to pull off a quality stream that it's watchable, especially if you're planning on playing the game on the laptop while streaming. So let's give a rundown of the laptop that I used to get off the ground. It wasn't producing HD content, but it was producing a resolution just below HD, kind of a quasi HD. I think it was a 960 by 540 resolution, and it was enough, as you can see in my earlier videos, to just kind of get by and get a first video up and get a first stream up. So to start off, let's take a look at the laptop that I used. I would consider this your baseline. This is kind of anything below this, and you're not going to be putting out a quality that's, you know, good enough for YouTube or a stream that people are going to be able to watch for long periods of time. The processor chip, the video card, and the RAM are the three components of any computer that you need to judge on what is going to be capable of holding a stream, or if you want to play a game on the same PC you're streaming, you're going to need obviously higher components in all three of these areas. So to start off, I simply streamed from my laptop, but I was streaming from a console. Now, in order to do this, the first component you're going to need for any good stream or for any YouTube video is an Elgato HD. Now, there are different models of it. I have the simple Elgato HD. I don't know if they still sell it. I'll put a description with a link, I should say, below, that'll lead you to the card that I have, the capture card that I have. But a lot of people use the new, I think it's the Elgato 60 HD 60. And there's obviously going to be a new one coming out soon. So that is kind of the spectrum of video capture cards, but I would use Elgato. It is the trusted brand that a lot of people have been using. So now, with the parts of my laptop that got me by, let's start with the processor chip. The processor chip is the heart of your build. It's the heart of streaming and recording at content quality level. So to start off, I used the Intel Core i7 4500U chip, 1.8 gigahertz. Okay, that was the base minimum. I almost couldn't even get by with it, but it did the trick. It produced that resolution that I spoke of, and I wasn't able to game on the laptop while streaming, but it did support the Elgato console content and was able to run not peaking, the processor wasn't peaking, it wasn't glitching or delaying, and that was with the OBS software on my laptop. That's a whole nother video if you guys want to know how to set up OBS, the way I've set it up, the way I'm sure a lot of people have set it up. Put that in the comments below and I will make another video on that in the future. Moving on, so that's considered your baseline processor in my mind. And next is the graphics card. Now the graphics card can be used in OBS to stream. It's not required and it's not recommended. You want to have a good processor chip to handle that on its own. But the graphics card is mainly used for gaming if you're going to be gaming on the PC. I did a couple videos on older games that were emulated on my laptop, the same laptop I was streaming at, and this processor chip was able to handle both. It was able to handle the old Game Boy emulator and the stream at the same time, and it seemed to work okay. So that's about the max level of gaming and streaming you're going to be able to do on this same laptop. Otherwise, as we get into the higher budget, as I'll explain, you need a second PC or a better PC in general, better laptop, better processor chip, better graphics card to handle all of that at the same time. But continuing on with our baseline budget build, this is the graphics card that I used. It was the Geforce GT 750M. Okay, that I would consider your baseline. Any lower than that, you might be able to get by, but I wouldn't test it. I've never tested it myself. I'm just giving you some experience that I've had with these specific products and how I was really struggling to get that acceptable level of content. So I would consider what I was using here baseline. Next is your RAM. Not as important, but it helps your computer run smoothly when all of these processes are in the background running. You got your OBS running, and I have 16 gigabytes of RAM on this laptop. It's not required. On the new PC that I've built, I only have 8 gigabytes of RAM, DDR4 RAM, and it seems to be fine running at that level. You might be able to get away with a little less. I've never tried it, but 8 seems to be a nice suitable starting point for your RAM. So these are the 3 components that I used when I first started. Like I said, integrated webcam, integrated microphone in the laptop. Definitely not recommended, but it will get you by to start off on your streaming experience. So in that case, the only extra thing you'll need to purchase is that Elgato HD capture card that I've spoke about, besides your computer and your console. Now let's move into a medium to high budget level of production. And to start off, let's again start with the PC specs. First, I built my second PC. I built this tower desktop specifically for streaming, specifically for recording, and not for playing games on, okay? I figured I had a decent laptop that if I was just playing games by itself on the laptop, it could handle the games and I could stream through Elgato out of my laptop into this new PC that I built specifically for streaming and YouTube videos. So let's go through the specs of the new desktop PC. To save money, I specifically went for the processor chip. That was the only thing I spent money on. I went with the baseline graphics card. I think it was a Geforce GT, might have been a 720 model, because I wasn't concerned about playing games on that desktop piece, right? So, and that's what the graphics card usually is for. The graphics card ended up helping me able to do a dual monitor setup, but that's beside the point. Next, we're going to talk about the processor chip. The processor that I went with, there is a new 6700 Intel quad core, I believe that's out now. I think it's a 6700K. But I didn't want to go for that because of the price range. That drastically boosted the price of the card, and I went with a card that was just below it because I wanted to save some money. Now, the card that I went with in this case was the Intel quad-core i7 4790K CPU. That's running at 4 gigahertz, okay? So as you can see, it's over double of the baseline processor chip that I had given you earlier at the 1.8 gigahertz level that was in my laptop, okay? Now, this processor was the top of the line, I think a year or two ago before the 6700 chip came out. And the i7 is important to have for your streaming and YouTube. It has a component in it that really boosts the streaming aspect of it, okay? The i5 core, although it can get by, it doesn't have the same build as the i7, okay? So this i7 chip, now i7 4790K, at the 4 gigahertz, is now allowing me to stream and record at 1080p, a safe 30 frames per second, which drastically lowers the file size. It can record and stream at 60 frames per second, but the file sizes are so big that it's harder to work with. It chews up a lot of my memory in my computer, and 30 frames per second still looks really good at 1080p. And this chip is handling it very well. I'm able to multitask on my computer while I'm streaming. It's running at about 60% CPU usage when I'm recording at that level of quality, and it just looks fantastic. It's a great chip. It's a very powerful chip, and like I said, it's not the top of the line. That 6700 just recently came out, I think this year, if I'm not mistaken. And I just kind of went with the high-end model that was about a year back, and it seems to be doing the trick. If you want to jump up to the high budget, take a look at that Intel 6700 chip. I'll post that in the description below as well, and you can definitely have a powerful PC. If you're looking for the top-of-the-line graphics card to go with your 6700 chip, you're going to want to take a look at the NVIDIA GTX 980 Ti. It's VR ready for the new generation of games that are about to come out. It is close to $900 retail, but if that's what you're looking for, I wanted to include it in the video. That's the high end range. That's going to work with your 6700 chip in that price range, but obviously that is an incredible build that I wish I could have. But I don't, and just wanted to throw that in the video for you guys, just in case you wanted to see where that top end would take you. But I cheaped out on the graphics card for this build. I went with 8 gigabytes of RAM instead of 16, and 8 gigabytes of DD4 RAM seems to be doing just fine. And then I got the necessities. That's a whole nother build video that we can do, but I went with just one fan, a decent computer case, and I just was focused on that processor chip, because that is the heart of everything. That is what runs your stream. That is what is able to withstand that quality level, okay? Let's move into some of the other aspects of it. This mic here is this guy here, this mic is the Blue Yeti. There's also the Blue Snowball. I would recommend Blue as a very good starting point for a mic. It definitely increases the quality from my laptop integrated mic, and it's a wonderful mic at a pretty reasonable price. And there are better mics than this, there are worse mics than this, but this is a very comfortable level of mic if you're looking for a mid-range video for YouTube and stream. Next is an external camera. I went with a Logitech HD camera external that was capable of supporting 60 frames per second at 1080p. Another aspect I'll link in the description. These are all just additions. They're not required, but they do help the quality of the stream. The last area that I want to touch on for a stream or good quality videos is a green screen. It's not necessary. A lot of YouTubers, a lot of Twitch users don't use it. They just have an overlay that they put with their camera in their room. And that's completely fine, but I find a nice polish that allows you to have some creativity for a background or for a setting that you want to be in is this idea of a green screen. As you can see, I've placed myself in an office using this effect, and it's not hard to do. It's just a simple program in OBS and in other programs as well, and you just require a green screen. There are a few that can be found on Amazon and other websites for $30, $45, or you could just go get a cloth, a green cloth, and hang it from a pole, as long as the entire area of your camera is covered by green in the background. Then you can play with the program on your computer and everything will work just as I have it here, whether you have a purchased green screen or not. Another key aspect, if you are going to be using a green screen, is the lighting. As you can see, I have a very bright light on my front, and that is also reflecting off of the green screen behind me. There are some lights with CRI rating, I believe it's called, and the higher you have this CIR rating, the more it will produce the true colors of the light that is bouncing off of it. So it will really influence the green behind you, which will make it easier for your computer program to differentiate the green from you. And it makes this clear cut. There's no real fading effects between the green screen. It makes the program easier to differentiate the green screen behind you. So like I said, I'll even put these bulbs in the description below. They just fit into your standard household lamp socket, and they really bring out the green, and just they really light you well. And they don't distort any colors. So I'll throw those in the description as well. That will wrap up our build, our setup, some of the components from the low end budget to the high end budget that you can use to start your YouTube journey, your Twitch journey, and to start putting out content that makes you happy and that makes, you know, entertainment for yourself and for your viewers. If the video helped you guys, definitely drop a like below. Like I said, I wanted to provide you guys with a nice starting point on all the different products you can get to start your stream, because it was confusing for me as well. And if you like the content and you want to see more of this stuff, definitely hit the subscribe button so you know when I post my next video. I most often will be doing daily videos unless, you know, some family event comes up and I'm unable to do it for a day, but for the most part it will be daily videos. So stay tuned, guys, until the next one, and as always, stay on the bean, you do you, live life your way, because that's the way it's meant to be. Cheers, you beauties.